She repeated what she'd already said twice in the last hour. "We're going because I need to see Jill." "But you don't even like her. We haven't been here in years, since before lockdown. Why do we have to come now?" The vice of tension in Gabbie's stomach ratcheted up another notch. She hadn't been to the house since her father's funeral over 3 years ago, and for the girls, it was even longer than that. How was it going to feel, being in that empty house without him there? Worse, with Jill as their host. Jaw tight, she tried to form the words she didn't have, but her lack of response was barely noted by Olivia, who was more interested in getting her own argument heard. "And why do we have to come with you to Jill's house? And why does Dad not have to come?" "It's not Jill's house. It's my parents' house. My house." And what excuse could she give for Liam? She hated having to lie. "Dad has to sort some things out at home. Anyway, it will be nice for you and Alice, like a little holiday. It's a very pretty village. Don't you remember?" Pretty? The word seemed to taste bad as it came out of Olivia's mouth. "It's going to be so boring. Do they even have Wi-Fi?" Much as Gabbie wasn't relishing her stay, there was nothing wrong with the village itself. It was pretty and quiet, just a few shops and one friendly pub which was tucked deep enough into the village to rarely attract anyone from outside. Well, maybe it will be a good opportunity to have some time away from your phone. A digital detox. Oh, the irony that Olivia didn't even reply because she'd returned to the eternal scrolling of the screen. She did have a point about the phone reception in the village, though. Hopefully the Wi-Fi was better than the last time they were here. Now, more than ever, Gabbie needed to be available for work. A loud slap of rain on the windscreen brought her back to the road ahead. What was she going to say to Jill when they arrived? Their conversation earlier had been stilted, not least because it was the first time Gabbie had called in over 2 years. Even during lockdown, she'd only sent the most occasional of messages to check that she was well and didn't need anything. Jill's shock at her request was hardly surprising. "You want to come here? Tonight?" Her tone had been as unwelcoming as if Gabbie had suggested turning up at the house with a 30-piece orchestra rather than just the 3 of them. "Yes, I know it's short notice. I'll explain when I come." That was the part that was worrying her. How much was she going to explain? How much did she want to tell her? And how the hell was she going to find it in herself to ask that woman for help? Jill had coughed, her usual tactic for stalling for time. "Well, of course. This is your home. You're welcome here whenever you wish." It hadn't felt like home in over 2 decades, but she was desperate. They had nowhere else to go, and no one else to turn to. 2. From the motorway, Gabbie turned left 3 times onto progressively quieter roads. The familiar Fernley village sign, with its constable-esque painting of a farmhand driving a horse and carriage, welcomed her to the place where she grew up. Now, driving at the requested 20 miles per hour, it was impossible to miss the bus stop where she and her friends had caught the 11 minutes past the hour into the next town. The bench where Sally Whittlestone had allegedly kissed Peter Colton for 15 minutes. The park where her mother had pushed her on the swings until she'd complained that her arms were about to drop off. Long-forgotten moments unwrapping themselves, like fine china that rarely saw the light of day. Past the handful of shops that made up the high street, her father's house was on the other side of the village, halfway down a wide track. As they got nearer, her shoulders rose closer and closer to her ears. How was she going to explain to Jill why they were there? The rain still wasn't letting up. As Gabbie turned the final bend, the gates of the house stood open in front of them, the house beyond. Behind her, Alice stirred and yawned, then gasped.